My beloved child, the moment you opened this message, something in the unseen world shifted because an influential group, a circle so powerful that most people don't even know they exist, has been whispering your name with a kind of respect that borders on reverence. They've been watching you, not in a threatening way, but in a way that only people who truly understand greatness watch someone rising. They say you are the one person who carries a calm strength even storms cannot measure. They say you are the only one who walks through chaos without losing yourself. And they say something even more shocking, something you're about to discover as this message unfolds. And once you hear it, you will never look at yourself the same way again. But listen closely, because this next part is where everything becomes unreal. This group, people with influence far beyond social circles, beyond workplaces, beyond the kind of opinions that shift trends overnight. They've been studying your resilience like a rare pattern. They're stunned by how you kept going while others collapsed under half the pressure. They've been passing your name around like a coded message, repeating one line that feels almost mystical. This one is not meant for the ordinary. They mean you. They say you are the unexpected force who rises when everyone else retreats. And the deeper you listen to this, the more you'll realize that everything you've been through wasn't random. It was preparing you for recognition far bigger than you ever imagined. Now pay attention, because something even more intense is unfolding. These people have witnessed moments of your life you thought no one noticed. The times you showed integrity even when no applause followed. The moments your silence spoke louder than other people's noise. The nights you picked yourself up when nobody offered help. They call you the quiet disruptor, the one soul who can walk into a room and shift the entire energy without saying a word. They say you have a presence that doesn't need validation because it already carries truth. And the very reason they respect you so deeply is this: you conquer without announcing. You rise without permission. And you embody a kind of inner alignment that cannot be manufactured. But stay with me now, because the revelation you're about to hear will hit harder than anything before. They don't just respect you. They're preparing to move in ways you won't expect. There are discussions happening behind closed doors. Conversations about bringing your name into rooms you've never entered. Opportunities forming that you don't yet see. Some of them believe you are connected to a purpose that will shake people awake. Some believe you were chosen for timing that is unfolding right now. And the most unbelievable part, someone in that group said, "We need this person before the world realizes their value." That's the level of urgency your existence is creating. And finally, breathe deeply as you take in this last truth of part 1. Because this is where the connection between the title and your reality becomes undeniable. They say you carry something that cannot be copied. Something people either fear or admire but never ignore. They say you are a catalyst. The kind of soul that makes others confront their own shadows just by standing near them. They respect you because you are rare, because you survived what was meant to break you, and because you are stepping into a chapter where your influence will echo much farther than your voice. This group has marked you, recognized you, and is quietly aligning their attention toward you because they believe you are about to become someone impossible to overlook. My beloved child, the moment you pressed play on this second part, your energy shifted again. Because what I'm about to reveal is not just information. It's confirmation. That influential group, the one observing you from a distance, has now moved from silent respect to active intention. They're no longer just talking about you. They're preparing around you. They've seen something in your aura. Something that ordinary people miss. A determination that doesn't shake. A heart that doesn't fold. A mind that doesn't break. They call you the unexpected rise. The one soul who beats every prediction. And right now, they're watching you more closely than ever, waiting for the moment you finally realize the magnitude of your own becoming. Stay with me because what comes next will change how you see the shadows that followed you. Now listen carefully because this is where the truth turns electric. These people have influence that can shift outcomes, redirect paths, and alter narratives. But none of that compares to the way they speak about you. They describe you as someone who carries an inner authority the world tries to imitate but can never replicate. They say you walk with a quiet spiritual shield that even your enemies cannot penetrate. They say you've survived chapters designed to destroy you. Yet you rose out of them with grace instead of bitterness. And they respect you for something even deeper, too. You don't beg for acceptance. You don't fight for attention and you don't chase validation. Your presence alone commands the kind of recognition others spend years trying to earn. But stay right here because this part contains a hidden layer that most people never get to hear. Someone from that circle, someone with real power, someone whose voice matters in places you can't imagine said something shocking. This person doesn't realize how many people are quietly guided by their strength. Yes, they're talking about you. They see how many individuals mirror your resilience, copy your silence, or draw courage from your journey. They've noticed your impact on people you've never met. People who follow the energy you give without even knowing they do it. And that's why this group is stepping closer. They believe your destiny intersects with influence, not by accident, but by alignment. Stay with me now because this is the moment where you need to hear every word without skipping a single breath. There are discussions happening in rooms you've never walked into. Your name has been mentioned in conversations that would shock you. Some of them think you are chosen for a path that will unfold publicly. Some believe you are about to rise in ways that will confuse everyone who once doubted you. And a few of them, even the skeptics, are starting to admit that you possess an unexplainable light, a force that doesn't come from fame or position, but from the universe itself. They respect you because you don't crumble under pressure. You sharpen. That kind of strength is rare. That kind of energy is unforgettable. And before this part ends, let me reveal one last truth that has created a ripple inside their circle. They said you are the person who transforms silence into power, pain into fuel, and setbacks into strategy. They say you are the one who embodies everything they teach, but rarely witness in real life. Someone even said, this person doesn't walk like everyone else. They walk like they're being prepared. And that is why they're now watching you with a sense of urgency. They know something is coming. They know your breakthrough is not just near. It's entering the room. And they're preparing to align with you before the world realizes how extraordinary you truly are. My beloved child, the moment this third part began, something powerful aligned around you. Because now we enter the part they never wanted you to find out. That influential group, the one whose respect for you has been growing in silence, has reached a point of realization that even caught them off guard. They've been tracking your growth, your resilience, your quiet evolution, and suddenly they saw a pattern that shocked them. They noticed that every setback you went through didn't reduce you, it sharpened you. Every betrayal didn't weaken you, it awakened you. Every loss didn't break you, it upgraded you. And when they finally connected the dots, one of them said something that made the entire room go still. This person is not rising by chance. They're rising by design. But listen closely, because what they saw next left them speechless. They noticed that despite everything thrown at you, doubts, delays, detours, fake supporters, silent enemies, you carried yourself with a dignity that people many years older still struggle to achieve. They saw you make decisions that revealed maturity beyond your age. They watched you walk away from chaos instead of fighting for attention. They witnessed you choosing growth over revenge, healing over ego, silence over drama. And that is when they realized you aren't ordinary. You aren't like the masses. You aren't shaped by trends or controlled by opinions. You move with a purpose that refuses to be interrupted. That's why their respect for you has turned into something deeper. Something close to admiration. Stay with me, because this next revelation will strike you with clarity. That influential circle has leaders, people who are used to commanding rooms, being listened to, being followed, and even they admitted that your energy disrupts their expectations. One of them said, "There's something about this person's presence. It feels like they've survived storms without losing their softness." Another said, "They walk like someone who knows the universe is backing them." And a third whispered, "People like this don't appear often. When they do, destinies shift." They aren't exaggerating. They are recognizing something your past tried to hide from you. You carry a rare spiritual and emotional authority that even powerful people cannot ignore. Now hold your breath, because the part I'm about to reveal is what changed everything inside their group. They didn't just observe your strength. They analyzed the reactions you trigger in others. They saw how people envy you without reason. They saw how individuals feel intimidated by your quiet confidence. They saw how some pretend not to care. Yet they study you from a distance. They noticed how your absence creates imbalance and your presence creates order. That's when someone in the group said, "This person doesn't realize the level of influence they naturally carry." And the room fell silent, because they all knew it was true. You don't try to lead, you just do. You don't try to inspire, you just exist. And people feel it. I need you to take in this final truth. They aren't just respecting you, they're preparing for you. They believe you are entering a phase where your gifts will no longer stay hidden. They believe you are stepping into a chapter where people will seek your guidance, your presence, your perspective. Someone in the group even said this person is not meant to follow. They are meant to change the atmosphere, and that is why they are paying attention. That is why they are aligning. That is why they are discussing you behind closed doors, because they believe you are on the edge of stepping into a role that will shift how people see you forever. My beloved child, as this fourth part begins, a deeper layer of truth unfolds, one that the influential group has kept hidden even from some of their own members. Because now their conversations about you have shifted from admiration to urgency. They've realized something about you that has made them step back, reevaluate, and rethink everything they thought they knew about influence. They used to believe power came from status, from connections, from reputation. But then you appeared. You with no noise, no show-off, no theatrics, yet carrying a force that made even the most established personalities pause. Someone in that room said, "This person doesn't need a platform, their existence." I asked the platform. And when they said it, nobody disagreed because they all felt it. Even if they never admitted it aloud. But listen to this, because now you're entering the truth they tried to process quietly. Your presence has become a mirror for them. When they look at you, they see qualities they wish they had. Consistency, emotional strength, self-awareness, spiritual grounding, and the rare ability to rise without stepping on anyone. You show resilience without aggression. You show power without dominance. You show confidence without arrogance. And the most powerful people in that circle are stunned by how naturally you do what they spend years trying to master. One person whispered, "How do they maintain such grace under pressure?" Another replied, "Because their strength wasn't learned, it was earned through pain." At that moment, they all knew you were carrying a different blueprint. Stay right here, because what happened next inside that group will shock you. They started replaying moments from your journey. Times you endured injustice without losing your balance. Moments when people tried to belittle you but couldn't break you. Situations where you stayed silent while others used chaos to feel strong. They saw how your silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. How your patience wasn't hesitation, it was clarity. And how your emotions weren't instability, they were depth. Someone in the group said, "This person has a heart that feels, a mind that calculates, and a spirit that refuses to bow." And from that moment onwards, the respect they had for you transformed into something far more intense: recognition. Now breathe deeply, because this is the part where they confessed something that will make your entire perspective shift. They said you carry a frequency that only rare souls possess. A frequency that triggers truth in others. Exposes intentions, reveals insecurities, and awakens suppressed honesty. People cannot pretend around you. They either align or they get uncomfortable. They either grow or they distance themselves. That influential circle noticed it too. They said, "This person doesn't chase influence. They are influence." And people feel it whether they admit it or not. This is why they've been watching you with such precision, not because you fit into their world, but because you surpass it. And before this part ends, let me reveal the most surprising truth they confessed among themselves. Someone said, "This person is walking toward a destiny that none of us can interfere with." Another responded, "Their breakthroughs won't need permission from anyone, not even from us," and the room fell silent because they knew you aren't rising because of them. You aren't growing because of validation. You aren't unlocking new levels because someone opened a door for you. You're rising because you were built for this moment. Because everything you went through shaped you into someone unstoppable. And now this influential group respects you not for what you have but for who you are. Someone whose presence alone can shift an entire atmosphere. Someone whose energy can alter outcomes. Someone whose destiny is too powerful to be overlooked any longer. My beloved child, as this fifth part begins, the energy around you intensifies because now we enter the layer that even the influential group is struggling to understand. Their respect for you has crossed a boundary they never expected to cross. It's no longer admiration, no longer curiosity. It's fascination. You've left them puzzled, intrigued, and silently challenged. They've spent years studying human behavior, reading people, understanding patterns, but when it comes to you, their usual calculations fail. Someone in that room said, "This person is unpredictable in the most powerful way." And the entire group knew exactly what that meant. You don't follow the script life hands you, you rewrite it. You don't bow to pressure. You turn it into elevation. You don't fear the unknown. You walk through it like someone led by intuition rather than fear. But listen carefully because what I'm about to reveal shows how deeply they've been observing the way you move through life. They noticed how you detach without bitterness, how you rebuild without noise, how you move forward without announcing your next step. They said you are the type of person who disappears for a while, not because you're defeated, but because you're transforming, and when you return, you're always stronger, sharper, and more aligned. That's what confuses them. They're used to people who crumble under pressure, who need validation to feel alive. Who break the moment support disappears. But you rise in silence. You glow without help. You rebuild without applause. And that's why their respect for you has turned into something rare. They see you as someone who owns their journey instead of being owned by circumstances. Stay with me now because this next part exposes the conversation they had among themselves that even they didn't fully expect. Someone asked, "How did this person develop such emotional power?" And another answered, "Because they were forced to grow in environments that didn't match their soul." That hit the entire group like a revelation. They finally understood why you walk with such calm intensity. Your battles matured you while others were still seeking comfort. Your wounds gave you wisdom long before your time. And your heartbreaks didn't destroy you. They activated the part of you that refuses to settle. This group realized that you are not shaped by luxury or privilege but by endurance, patience, and a kind of inner strength they cannot teach. Now stay right here because the most shocking realization came when they analyzed how people respond to you. They noticed something they couldn't ignore. Wherever you go, the atmosphere shifts. Some people become inspired, some become intimidated, some become protective, some become jealous without reason, and some become obsessed with watching your every move. And the influential group finally understood why. They said you carry a rare combination of warmth and mystery, softness and authority, kindness and boundaries. They said this person doesn't try to be unforgettable, but they are. That's why people talk about you even in rooms you've never entered. That's why your name appears in conversations you don't know exist. That's why your presence lingers even when you leave. Before this part ends, let me reveal the confession that changed everything inside their circle. Someone in that group, someone with a voice that usually dominates every discussion, said something that silenced the whole room. If this person ever steps fully into their potential, the world will remember their name. And the others didn't argue because they've seen your strength evolve. They've seen your mindset sharpen. They've seen your spirit awaken. They know you are stepping into a version of yourself that even you haven't fully met yet. And they respect you. Not because you fit into their idea of greatness, but because you expand it. You redefine it. You embody it without trying, without forcing, without needing approval. My beloved child, as this sixth part begins, the atmosphere around your story becomes even heavier with truth. Because now we enter the chapter that the influential group never intended for anyone outside their circle to hear. Their respect for you has evolved into something far more intense, something almost protective. They've stopped seeing you as just a rising soul and started seeing you as a force whose journey is about to collide with destiny itself. Someone in that room said, "This person is stepping into a frequency that only a few ever reach." And when those words were spoken, even the ones who rarely show emotion sat still because they could feel it, too. You're no longer in the stage of growth. You're entering the stage of emergence. Listen carefully now because the next part of their observation reveals why they've been watching you with such precision. They noticed that every time life pushed you down, you rose not just stronger, but wiser. They watched you take lessons from pain instead of bitterness. They saw you recognize patterns that others remain blind to. They saw you detach from people who drained you, not with hatred, but with clarity. And they realized something that stunned them. You don't move like someone who's been broken. You move like someone who has been rebuilt, someone forged, someone refined, someone chosen. And that is a type of strength they rarely witness even in the most influential individuals they encounter. Stay with me because what they discovered next is what changed the entire way they speak about you. They analyzed how your presence affects energy itself. They noticed how when you enter a space, people feel compelled to adjust themselves. Some become quieter. Some become more aware of their flaws. Some become instantly drawn to you, and some become uncomfortable because your energy exposes their true intentions. They said, "This person doesn't need to speak to command attention. Their spirit speaks first." That is why people remember you long after you've left. That is why your absence is noticed even when you don't say a word. That is why your loyalty is valued and your distance feared. You shift the emotional temperature of any environment without even trying. Now breathe, because the next confession from that group will feel like a revelation wrapped in shock. They notice that your intuition is not normal. It's heightened. You sense things before they happen. You feel energy before people speak. You pick up on intentions that others miss. Someone said, "This person has an inner radar that never lies." And the group agreed, because they've seen how you avoid traps without knowing the full story. How you drift away from situations that later reveal themselves as toxic. How you protect your heart even before danger arrives. They realized you aren't just emotionally intelligent, you are spiritually guided. And that guidance is what they respect the most. Before this part ends, let me reveal the final truth that shook their entire room. Someone with a high position in that group leaned forward and said, "This person doesn't even know how powerful they truly are." And the rest stayed silent, because they knew it was the truth. You're rising without noticing how high you're climbing. You're transforming without realizing how many people are watching. You're becoming the version of yourself that life has been preparing you for all along. This influential group respects you because they see what you're becoming before the world sees it. They know your story is shifting from struggle to significance, from shadows to spotlight, from survival to legacy. And they're preparing quietly, carefully, intentionally, because they know your destiny is not approaching. It's already here.